Hey guys, Chart Stoppers back with another video. In this channel we take a look at different stocks and map out their key support and resistance areas on their chart. It's important to know these areas before buying any stock, and it's also important to know what kind of a trend a stock is in before you buy into it. Support and resistance is one of the most important things you should know about a stock before you either buy or sell. Also, if you're doing any day trading, swing trading, or options, you are definitely going to want to get familiar with support and resistance. And just to let you know, I am not a financial expert. These videos are for educational purposes only, but I am here to point out key factors on the charts which do impact the price action of a stock. I also provided a link in the description for Webull. You could use it to start an account and get 2 free stocks. And I also provided a link for Robinhood, and you could use that to start an account and get 1 free stock. And just to let you know, we will be doing 3 videos per week on 3 different stocks. So if you have a recommendation, leave a comment below and I'll try to get to it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button so you don't miss out on any new videos. Okay, so let's get into the market today. Today is May 10th, 2021. It is Monday, and you can see here the S&P 500 is pretty flat on the day. It is down a little bit, 0.04%. The Dow Jones is actually up 0.76%, and the NASDAQ is getting killed again today, 1.43% down on the day. And you could see in the morning here, everything has been pretty flat, except for the Dow. The Dow is up, but the NASDAQ, soon as the market opened, just started selling off, and it hasn't really recovered since. So let's get into what I wanted to talk about today. Today we're going to be doing a video on Peloton. I wanted to go over this. I've done a video in the past about this, and I will provide a link in the upper right hand corner to go over that video. You can go back and watch it, and you'll see how I got to where my chart is today. And let's take a look at where they're trading at today. Today they are trading at $85.38 currently. It is up $1.60. Which is the equivalent of 1.92% today. And they have a market cap of $29.06 billion. Their PE ratio is 183.5. You could see on the chart here, their 52-week high was $171.09. They hit that on January 14th of this year. And they were on a really nice uptrend here, as you could see from the March lows of last year during COVID. They were on a huge run. You could see here, their earnings were great right here. And ever since that earnings report right here on March, let's see here, this is March 7th of 2020. You could see the stock just exploded. A lot of people got behind this stock, a lot of retail investors. This was a favorite stock of 2020, and you could see why, because you had a lot of gains and a nice, very nice looking chart here through 2020 as it just kept going higher and higher. You could see after this earnings report, we went up from $73 right here around there, and it went up all the way to $140 after that earnings report. And that was a nice earnings. Right here they had earnings again, and you could see the stock was trading around $107, and it shot up all the way to $170 after this earnings report. But after this correction started right around in February of this year, right in this area, you could see it was kind of trading sideways, and it was looking for its next leg higher. But we didn't get that because we got the correction throughout the NASDAQ, a 10% correction, and it drove this stock all the way from the highs of 171 to a low on this day right here on March 5th. The low was actually $94 right here. So it went all the way down about $70. And just looking at our chart here, during the correction, we had support around $140 right here, and we quickly lost that during this correction as the sell-off began. And we really didn't have any support areas, as you could see going up through here. We didn't have any support areas on the way back down until $100. And a lot of people thought that $100 level was very strong support. I did myself. I didn't think we would break that during this correction. As you could see, it never closed below $100 during this correction until April 29th right here. And the reason for that is, everything was going good the stock was trying to recover after bottoming out a couple times. Right here, you saw a double bottom right in this area. It was holding its 200-day moving average. It actually recovered back up to around $125 from the lows right here during the correction of $100. So that was looking like it was going to be strong support here at $100, and it was going to hold up throughout this correction. But you could see here, you know, we lost that right there. We had a gap down on this day, and it just kept falling, and it's been falling ever since. And that is because of a recall that they did on some of their equipment. I think some of their treadmills were defective, and it was causing people to get injured, and it actually caused a couple deaths also. So that is why we are seeing a huge sell-off in this stock. You know, when the report came out, everybody was selling right here. That's why you saw this huge gap down. And, you know, we haven't recovered since then. But since the report came out of the recall, I guess a lot of people thought it was worse than what it was. And that's why you saw such a strong sell-off. And now you're kind of seeing a bottom out right here. And hopefully we'll be back to a little bit of a recovery here. But we have some problems on the chart that we're going to go over before we can see a recovery here. So as you could see here, during the correction, it was holding on its 200-day moving average. And the 200-day moving average was acting as strong support for this stock until the recall happened in this area. And that's when it broke its 200-day moving average, and it has taken a trip to the downside. And it looks like that 200-day moving average will be strong resistance in the future going forward. So I had marked on my chart here this uptrend marked in the green here. It was strongly following my the 50-day moving average on the daily chart here. So you could see that's a good trend line there. It was following exactly where the 50-day moving average went. And, you know, you could have moved it up here if you wanted to. And just as you saw this break the 50-day moving average, a couple days later, it also broke my trend line. So that was a good trend line that it was following for about a year, you know, since back in March of 2020, right in this area. So we had a strong trend line going up, and it was following that for about a year until we just broke it right around this area, which was March around 5th. So now that we lost that trend line here, I also drew a red trend line, which represents the downside trend, okay, that it's been following. So you could see here, it failed to break this trend up here, this line that was acting as resistance up in this area when it was at the all-time highs. And then we saw the huge dip during the correction. And still, as we zoom in here, you could see my trend line here, which is following the 50-day moving average going down now. And that is acting as resistance right now. And you could see it failed to break through that trend line down here when it tried to make its recovery from the bottoms of the correction, the double bottom that we saw. So it failed to break that trend line. It was acting as resistance. And now that we had this bad news come out about the recall and also the earnings that came out right around this area caused the stock to sell off immensely. And we're going to see this act as the resistance going forward. So we're going to need to see this break through the 21-day moving average first. As you can see, it's headed downwards, and we're going to need to see it break that 50-day moving average, which is following our downtrend pretty closely. So where do we go from here on this stock? Well, it looks like it is in a zone where it could go either way right now. You see our resistance is going to be around $100 now going forward. And our support is sitting down here around $73.40. So I'm not exactly sure which way it would go. I would think it would probably drop down to this $73.40 support before we see a recovery and move back to the upside. So that's what I'm going to be looking for right now, is to see this drop, hit this support, see if it could hold that support line, and then we'll have to reassess where we go from there. If it does not hold that support, we could see this thing drop down to around $60 right here, which is our next support line. So some people are saying this could be a head and shoulders pattern. I'm not one of those people. I mean, you can see a pretty defined head and shoulders, but you could see here that this right shoulder on the screen does not match up with our left shoulder up here. We did not come back and retest this resistance and get rejected at $140 on this side of our head and shoulders pattern. So that's why I don't think that this is going to be a head and shoulders, even though it does sort of resemble one. We did not see it come back and retest this resistance. So I'm not exactly calling for a head and shoulders, but I am calling for it to come down and at least test this $73 support before we can move back to the upside. So if I was trading this, I would be waiting for it to come down to this support right here at $73 and around 40 cents, like I said. And if it does hold this support, you know, for a couple days and make a nice reversal off this support, that's when I would be going grabbing calls or loading up on the stock. But if it does not hold this support right here and it drops lower than that, I would be waiting to enter this trade around $60 or $59.50, as that's going to be our next support. So if you want to go short on this, if you want to take a gamble and see if it'll hold this when it gets down to this level, you know, you could do that and see if it'll go down to the next support, or you could, you know, be loading up and buying calls at this area to see a bounce off this support. But again, as we go forward, this trend line here in this red line and our 50-day moving average and our 21-day moving average are probably going to be acting as pretty strong resistance going forward. So you could see that my trend line follows my 50-day moving average, so that would be, you know, looking for that to break through there before we can move back to the upside and possibly get back to around 100, or even in this area right here to fill this gap in. You could see the gap on the screen right here. That's going to be between, you know, 100 and looks like 12 or almost 113 to 115. So we're going to need to fill this gap in also before we can move back to the upside. So again, just keep watching your charts. I'll switch over to the 4-hour, and it's going to be, you know, looking like the same exact thing here. You know, the trend line is going to be following the 200-day moving average on the 4-hour, and, you know, we're going to need to see this thing break through these moving averages that are going to be acting as resistance. You could see the 21-day moving average on the 4-hour is acting as strong resistance right now. So that's what I would be doing if I was short-term trading this. If you're a long-term trader and you're looking to average down maybe, or even average up, $73 and around 40 cents is going to be the place to do it. And then your next stop would be around $59.51. And I don't see it falling below this area right here. You know, I just don't see that dropping from $170 to around $60 right here, but you never know. But if you are a long-term holder and you're looking to average down, I would probably wait until you see it drop to around this support level right here, at least until you start buying more, just to see what it's going to do right now. You know, this is no one knows really what's going to happen with this stock right now. It's at a point where it could go either way. It could go back up to the $100 mark, or it could drop back down right here to 73 and even fall further. It is below the 200-day moving average on the daily chart, so you don't really have support anywhere in this area right now. So I would just wait on that and see what's going to happen. So that's my video, my quick update on Peloton. Again, if you guys haven't, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button if you guys like this video, and make sure you have your notifications on so you do not miss any new videos like this. And we will see you next time on Chart Stoppers.